I heard something like that too. And then we saw a bounce in Binance plus in
Bitcoin.
FTX, and then it all just went away and it
Yeah.
collapsed even further. So it makes me wonder what the real narrative is here. What's the real story? And so I'm just waiting to hear facts, hear more stuff later today.
Do you think it's just massive panic and it'll go up? See, for example, what's going on with the midterms?
Yeah, so the midterms are today. And by the way, I got to throw this one out there, and this is a crazy one. But basically, 1 year ago today, the highest close on Bitcoin occurred November 8th, 2021. 1 year later, this is where we are in the crypto markets, obviously having panic in here. In addition, last night we had a red blood moon, full moon, whatever it is. And I mean, just that alone, you have to wonder. I mean, there's weird impacts that the moon, the lunar cycle can give you. And sure enough, we're seeing some of the craziness today. So just some crazy stuff going on here. But I think ultimately, you have to be careful of FTX because we know what happened to Terra Luna. I don't know the leverage that these companies have on their balance sheets because honestly, we don't have the transparency that a stock company has to report, right?
Mm.
So be careful. I still think there's opportunities in panic on other cryptocurrencies, but you have to be careful, trade small. Yeah, so let's take a look. So we'll look at the Bitcoin chart. And basically what we had was we had a potential breakout right here, right? So you had the market get above. Let me put in some trend lines here. So this was a previous pivot and we kind of got above there.
Hmm.
Okay. And so we got above here, we retested, we then went up. And then the fact of the matter is we came right back in it. You could almost look at it like right here. I mean, once this
Hmm.
couldn't hold the breakout above this high, that
Right.
was a bearish indicator. Now, again, did I know that we were going to have this type of collapse? No. I mean, again, this is an epic drop in crypto as a whole. But I do think that you could see the fact that you had a breakout here that
Yeah.
confirmed and it wasn't able to hold and you basically went back below. That's never a good sign.
Yeah, that was my argument. I don't think anybody anticipated what was going to happen except maybe CZ.
Yeah.
Um, but we are still in that channel. What do you think?
Yep. Yeah, I think
The,
that's what's amazing. So I mean, you could argue that Bitcoin's holding on, right? Because even on the flush, you could see that we just retraced to this trend line. See this green line sloping down through this pivot and right through here and we broke out above it and we retraced back to it and we're actually holding that line. So that's a small positive. If that continues to hold, I think that's good. If you actually were to get by the end of the closing day, which is I think 7 p.m. Eastern time here, if you get back to this trend line and close right on this trend line, that would be another short-term bullish signal. So you have to respect that. And that may mean that it doesn't matter who controls the houses of government in the US. Now, having said that, we have to also look and say, the seasonality side of things. I agree that oftentimes you'll see that Christmas rally, that Santa Claus rally, but we have to watch and see what goes on here with
mm,
with Terra. I mean, not Terra Luna, but FTX, right? I
is-
mean, a Freudian slip there in a weird way. But I think this is the thing: is that does this start a chain reaction? I don't think it will because Terra Luna's. I mean, FTX wasn't as big as Terra Luna, but I do also think that investors just need to be cautious here. I still have a downside target of 12 to 13,000 on Bitcoin, maybe even lower than that. And this, unfortunately, this could be the start. I'm watching those trend lines we just watched to see where it closes.
you don't think it's too fast, too soon?
I mean, if anything, you've made this long bear flag going back to June,
Mm.
and here we are in November. So, I mean, this is one of the longer bear flags that I've seen. It's very reminiscent. I mean, if we go back to 2000, let me show my chart here. If we go back to 2018, we had a very, very similar period in crypto where you basically went from here sideways for, let's see how long, from June as well. So,
Mm.
June all the way until November. So June to November sideways, and then you broke down. Now that's kind of crazy, right? I didn't realize that it was going to align quite like that. But basically, this is almost S&P is still, last I checked, was still slightly green on the day. But what a sell-off on an intraday basis. I got to show you guys. Let me bring up my chart
Mm.
here and show you the intraday. Because basically, when crypto was dumping, we saw a sympathy drop in the S&P, right? And
Mm.
basically what this was panic in the crypto markets that then was being kind of pervasive and spreading. It was a contagion event where the collapses in these cryptos then spread into stocks. Now, again, in the stock market, it didn't turn out to be a huge move like in crypto, but it does show you the connection of the crypto market to the stock market, because humans are both in crypto and in stocks. And so when you see your crypto collapse and you're seeing, oh my goodness, I'm down 30, 40, 50% here, you obviously are going to be a little nervous about holding your stocks in the meantime. So a lot of people aren't sold. Now we've seen a bounce in crypto, and we're also seeing a bounce in the S&P 500. Now on the daily chart, what we can see is we're hovering in kind of a bearish pattern here, just underneath a lot of resistance. So this is kind of a little bit of a scary pattern going into the election results. I'm going to be honest with you, where I do think the markets are going to have another leg lower. I just don't know if we rally up into this resistance first on the election results.
Yeah.
And then just be aware of that. You're coming into these election results with 3 down days in a row on the dollar into support. Does the election results dictate a bounce? I mean, again, what could cause a bounce? I mean, I hate to say these type of things, but like if you saw any violence with the elections, if you saw any instability, I mean, these are things that could make people run into the safety of the dollar, and then the stock market would obviously decline on the back of that. So I'm very kind of cautious. I actually picked up a little bit on the short side today of the stock market when we were near the highs of the day. Oil break above briefly and then kind of pause, and then it looks like it's failing the breakout. So we're going to watch this. The biggest line to me is this upsloping one right here. And again, that's going to be the one that if we hold it, you can be neutral to positive on oil. If you break this line, I think you actually head all the way back to $76 a barrel on spot crude. So it's an interesting price action day. But again, we still haven't tagged support yet. So that's the level I'm going to be watching. So, I mean, one of them I would keep an eye on is Polkadot. Mainly, number one, while a lot of cryptos were pulling back the last few days, this made a new high. I did hear something about how Polkadot was going to be considered to be a commodity like Bitcoin versus the securities. And I think that gave a lot of people some interest in this. So that would be something that you can kind of, the commodity side of Bitcoin, the regulation should be a little easier to figure out. And if Polkadot's in that group, then I think this one as well. Let's take a look at Matic and see what's going on there. Ooh, crazy sell-off. I mean, Matic was having an amazing move, and then it got wiped out, but it actually held this low area here too. So, you know, it's obviously had a huge bounce at this point, but I mean, you know, I would say for right now, I would suggest sticking with best of breed, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then let the dust settle. And then we can see where these alts are kind of forming or where they are.